Nigerians are in New York, in Miami, in Washington, in California, all over California, because Nigerians have this work ethic, right? They will do whatever it takes to get the job done or to get the...
They're hilarious.
If they'll do one thing, it's make you laugh.
It's funny. And I feel like they're very vibrant and very...
Nigerians are the most smartest people on the planet.
Right.
Yeah, I believe it.
I promise you. There's nobody more smarter than the Nigerians.
Nigerians were the first Africans who taught me to believe in myself. Like every other African that I met always had like a certain level of like, how you doing? I was like, I'm okay. I'm fine. Like, we even say in South Africa, we'd be like, nyang, which means like I'm almost like I'm begging. I'm begging my way through. I'm
getting by.
I try. And Nigerians, I remember like literally were the first ones who are like, you're not trying, you're doing. You're doing it. What do you mean you are trying? Are you not winning? And I was like, they're like, no, you are winning. Don't say you are trying.
Dude who was saying, any place you go to in the world that doesn't have Nigerians is uninhabitable.
Meet Sheyi Abolaji, who started a thriving business in Nigeria. Sheyi and his brother Oluwaseun Abolaji are the founders of Wilson's Juice Company with a startup of $10 in 2010. Sheyi believes in making an impact over comfort. He says there is more wealth to be made in Nigeria. Here's a story of grit and tenacity.
Wealth to be made. And so I bought a one-way ticket back. I had too many Nigerian aunties and uncles that were planning to go back to Nigeria. In 2 years, I'm going back in 2 years.
And they never
20 years later, they're still in the States.
Yes.
So I didn't want to do that. So I bought a...
This started with 2,000 naira?
Yes, everything you see here started with 2,000 naira.
Wow. How did this get started?
So I moved back to Nigeria.
Oh, you moved back? Where were you before then?
In the States. I went to school in California at Stanford University. And then I actually just came back to visit. But when I came back to visit, I felt like, hey, this is where I need to be. Because I have many aunties and uncles in the States that there's always a 2-year plan. In the next 2 years, I'm going back home.
Oh, really?
20, 30 years later, they're still in the next 2 years. So I didn't want to become one of those. So I just bought a one-way ticket back. I said, by the time I get back, I'll figure out what I want to do. My mom was just like, well, we support you. My father was just like, are you crazy? Like, by the time I came back, took over a business that I thought was running, failed at that after a couple of years. And I was left with, either go back home, call mom and dad to see if they could help me, or try to find something else to do. And so being a former athlete was used to living a healthy lifestyle. It was actually very difficult to find anything natural to eat, anything natural to drink. Somebody gave me some orange juice, and I was like, this is not orange juice. So the idea came up to make fresh squeezed orange juice. And I was living right by a university, Covenant University at that point in time. So I went on campus, asked one of the ladies that was running one of the cafeterias there, Mrs. Johnson, thank you. And she gave us an opportunity to pay rent at the end of the month. So we started making fresh squeezed orange juice on the campus. You see here, started with 2,000 naira.
Wow.
A naira and a dream is what my partner, who happens to be my older brother, is showing, always says, this is a naira and a dream. So we had a naira and a dream, and we've been able to start with that. Went from fresh squeezed orange juice to smoothies, and then by the time we started off with lemonade, that's when things really took off. We just kept on looking for opportunities. My brother's a pharmacist by training. I studied history and philosophy. So what we've been doing with this whole business is just looking for opportunities. I was still going to the market by myself at that point in time. Owoode Market is where we saw the lemons just sitting there, and it was just like, when life throws you lemons, make lemonade, grab some lemons. My partner happened to be in town at that point in time. He was working in New York, so he initially would come for a week and then go back, and then the next trip he came for 2 weeks, and then the next year he came for 3-4 weeks, went back. So it just kept on, his trips here just kept on extending, and it's because every time he came there was a new aspect to the business. We were making fresh squeezed lemonade at that point, just squeezing, literally just squeezing.
And all of this was done manually back?
Everything was manual. It's crazy, like a lot of cutting and squeezing, and consistency sometimes takes starting ugly. We started in a very ugly way. Everything was very crude, very ugly, manual, and all we were focused on is just better. Not perfect, not good, just better. Every day we were just focused on getting a little better. It's amazing because, you know, it was one of our mentors, Auntie Baker. I'm just gonna be dropping names. These are just fantastic people that have helped us along this journey. She came and she saw what we were doing. She knew a little bit of my history and my story. So she was like, why are you in Nigeria, Stanford kid? What are you doing here? And then you're making smoothies. And she just saw that I was just like excited to be creating something. And so she was just like, hey, there's this thing called NAFTAC. You should get NAFTAC. We had a line of students. We were busy pumping and squeezing.
Oh, wow.
And he was just like, hey, why don't you just put this thing in a bottle? That night is when the business actually started. Because he was just like, put it in a bottle, let's make it a little easier. One big thing was inventory management. There was a lot of loopholes in our operations. We were picking up old bottles and people were laughing at us.
Oh, really?
We're doing sweepers work, we're doing that.
Oh,
but
yeah?
we literally picked up bottles, went home that night, got a new toothbrush, washed out inside. And next day we made 10 bottles of lemonade. That night we only sold 2 bottles. And everybody was like, you see, like nobody wants the bottles. It's only the cups, let's keep going. We sold like 170, 180 cups, 2 bottles. But at the end of the night, like we came with 10, we were able to count 8 more bottles. So we were like, wow, now we could keep track of what we actually are really selling. You know, the cups, there were just
interesting.
too many
you don't even know the amount.
Yes. So we thought we were making progress, but every time you looked up, it was like, oh, that's a funny movement. So we started making the lemonade that way, started putting it in bottles, and before you knew it, within a month or 2, we started selling more bottles than cups. We went from picking bottles ourselves to everybody on the team at the end of the night picking bottles to there were these old ladies that would walk around like picking up bottles and they'd have, you know, big bags of bottles. So we hired some of them.
So even at this early stage, you already were building like sort of like a mini team.
Yes. I mean, from the very beginning, you know, so we were athletes. There's so much in life you could just kind of relate to sports. So for us, everything is just about like, one, we don't play to have fun, we play to win. Again, with the way mom and dad brought us up is, you're gonna move fast, move alone, you're gonna move far, like move together, right? Like one of the most fulfilling parts of this journey for me has just been like building people. You're the leader, you know, but you're not really a leader unless you have other leaders that can challenge you and are actually driving things on their own to move things forward. Headquarters of Wilson's Juice Company. This is actually where my bedroom was when I was first in Nigeria for like, I think 13, 15 months. A little shed with a little floor. I had a little Eni that I would sleep on and roll up.
Eni, that's mat.
Oh yeah, a little mat, yeah, sorry. I had a little mat that would be like my bed at night, roll it up, put it behind the desk, and that was my office during the day. Small, compact, you know, but we make a lot of happen.
I can see some old pictures.
Way back. So I was serving when we first started the business. I did a program called Saeed, and that's where I learned about preservatives. This factory that you see now, this is how we started. We were
I can see somebody
hand juicing. Hand juicing.
So what does the name Wilson mean?
When we first started, we're not formally trained business people, right? Okay. But we play to win. Anything we do, we play to win. And we get very early on, we decided, you know, we're proudly Nigerian, but we're trying to be globally relevant. So we wanted a name that sounded, that was easy to pronounce, number one, and then meant something, right? So Wilson's has a lot to do with pride, integrity, XYZ. Like we research names. Some people say Wilson's, whichever way, it's still Wilson's. Proudly Nigerian, but globally relevant, could sit on the shelf anywhere. We're proud to be different, right? When everybody was doing the round bottles, we had square bottles. And then better is that emphasis, not on being perfect, not on competing with anybody, just we want to be better than we were yesterday. That's like the underlying philosophy behind everything we do.
What motivated you to, you know, leave USA and come down to Nigeria? A lot of people are living here, going there. What do people say, like, are you, like, were you crazy?
Okay?
Are you okay?
That's it, are you okay?
Are you okay? Like,
in a very simple way, one of my closest mentors when I was in school was a guy called Professor Cluck. And it was like a very, you know, very direct, kind of blunt dude. And one thing that he said, I was taking a civil engineering course with him. And towards the end of the course, he said something that really struck me. He was like, what disappoints me, many of you Stanford students, is you come to one of the best schools in the world, you get the best education, and then you go out and you settle. And you have kids that go like no-name schools, and they go out and they change the world. So he was like, so look, all of you guys have a decision to make. You're gonna live a life of comfort, or you're gonna live a life of impact. For me, it really kind of like struck a chord that my first job out of school, I was making more money than my parents made after 25 years in the US. You know, I was able to send money home, I had a house, I had cars. I was making too much money for my age. And it was like, it was very comfortable. And it just kind of kept on ringing in the back of my mind, like life of comfort or life of impact. What I saw in Nigeria was an opportunity to make impact, and I saw also opportunity to make a lot of money. And we've been doing it. You know, the money hasn't come pouring in yet. Clearly, we've made a lot of impact. We're employing directly 60, 70 people. Indirectly, we have 300-400 farmers in our network. You know, we have some people that are working with us on contract basis, you know, sales and merchandising across the country. And now we're trying to flip it into like that money side needs to start coming to the elements of, you know, Nigeria. It's not the electricity, it's not the bad roads. The core of this is, you know, just a deep-seated, deep-rooted poverty mentality that feels like, you know, somebody has to lose in order for you to advance. Focus on being an entrepreneur, focus on adding value. And if that means you need to start something on your own, great. And majority of us will fail, that's just the reality. I'm focused on failing forward continuously, you know, but many people rush into, I want to have my own business, I want to be an entrepreneur. They have no business doing it. That is not sexy, it's a lot of hard work. It's extremely lonely. There's nobody, there are few people who will understand the amount of stress and pressure that you're going to be under. Most people would be extremely valuable as part of a company, not the head of a company.
Nigerians are changing the narratives in every space. They are redefining ideas and turning them into successful realities. This is One Voice Africa TV to the world.